Good morning, Mark Soderberg with ADM Investor Services with your morning agricultural update. Happy Friday to all. Prices mixed overnight with limited price movement. Right now, corn is steady to about a penny lower. Soybean prices up 1 to 2 cents. In the wheat, that ranges from down a penny to up a penny. In the soy products, up 10 to 15 points in the bean oil, while meal is mixed. Markets will be on high alert today for any announcements from the EPA regarding a backlog of nearly 200 small refinery exemptions. Yesterday, Reuters reported the government agency may rule as early as today on a number of these requests that are seeking relief from the nation's biofuel blending mandates. Sources suggest these rulings are likely to be mixed, however, not a sweeping win for these small refineries. The EPA will also be asking for public comments on whether they should force some of these larger refineries to make up for some of these exempted gallons. Bean oil prices did rally sharply yesterday in response to the news, having pulled back to two-month lows earlier this week on fear that broad approval of these requests could cut into bean oil usage for the production of biofuels. Crush margins also surged yesterday, up 18 cents, back up to $2.08 a gallon. Bean oil product value also jumped, that being back up now to 47.5%. Speculative traders, big buyers on the news, buying about 14,000 contracts of bean oil, 19,000 contracts of corn, and nearly 14,000 contracts of soybeans. There were also light buyers in wheat, while being modest sellers in the meal. Open interest in corn actually rose 7,000 contracts yesterday, so an indication strength wasn't just fueled by some speculative short covering. The final day of the Pro Farmer Crop Tour yesterday found record yield potential in both Iowa and Minnesota for both corn and soybeans. However, they also noted evidence of some disease pressures. They estimated corn yields in Iowa at 198 bushels per acre, a record in the 22-year history of this tour. However, still below the USDA's record yield, well below it. The USDA is at 222. In Minnesota, they found corn yields at a record 203 bushels an acre, and that's just a touch above the USDA forecast at 202. Pod counts in both states came out at record 22-year highs as well. They being Pro Farmer, expected to come out this afternoon with their final production and yield updates. That after the close. Weather-wise, cool and mostly dry conditions will be the major weather theme across the nation's upper Midwest, really through the end of August. Heavy rains are expected to start building across Kansas and Oklahoma later this weekend or early next week, possibly shifting into the northern Delta region by the middle part of the week. This is an area that has been dry over the last several weeks, evidenced by an upturn in drought readings in yesterday's drought monitor. Soybean areas in drought did jump 6%, still rather low at 9%, while corn area in drought ticked up 1% to only 5%. Inside trade for December corn overnight. Next major resistance is at the 50-day moving average at 418. Strong export demand, low prices, and skepticism of the huge USDA corn yield seem to have been limiting producer selling as of late. November beans jumped out to a fresh 2-month high overnight. Next resistance there is the June high at 1074. Bean exports were strong last week despite the lack of a trade deal with China, while markets are also injecting a little bit of additional weather premium as we have very little wiggle room for yields to be below this year's record yield forecast from the USDA, given the lower acreage base. Inside trade overnight in the products as we await data or information from the EPA. Inside trade for wheat as well continues to be a follower. We continue to wait for a potential peace summit between Ukrainian leader Zelensky and Russian President Putin. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for listening.